Oh, that was a great one. Oh, hey everyone! It's another edition of Bitsley Book Club, and we're covering Imposter Syndrome issue 3 today. Wow! I'm Felicia Rondo, and that's Cluster over there.
My ping is not immaculate.
And yeah, so this is the newest issue of Imposter Syndrome. We recovered issues 1 and 2 previously, and gosh, I'm just gonna open with just I was surprised. I was actually surprised, in a good way. This it's a good one. I'm happy to report y'all, it's a good one. This issue.
So, yeah, I'm not sure specifically how we ended up coming off in our previous look over of the first two issues. Partly because I did feel more positively on them on the reread, but certainly when especially issue two came out, I was not feeling very positive about this miniseries in general, and I just
Yeah.
I didn't think this issue was going to go well. And as the preview pages for this issue came out, I continued to not think I was going to enjoy it at all.
Yeah.
As a note, we have, I think, probably more criticisms for the first 5 pages, the preview pages, than we do for the rest of the book.
Yeah.
So, we kind of were going in feeling not like we were going to have a good time, compared to the time where we had a good time.
And yet, the rest of the book that happened, it won us over. It just did. For
Yeah,
everything that
and
sucks in the first part, I can't stay upset at it because it worked.
on that note of the later better parts, redeeming the parts that you had trouble with earlier. Funny thing about reviewing something as it's ongoing, if it's being released in parts, is that you are kind of having to review something without context that it was designed to have, but also designed not to have. Comics are weird.
Yeah.
Like if we were going back and reviewing, a complete miniseries from start to finish and having the context of issue 4 while reviewing issue 1, we do it a lot differently, as compared to what we were doing,
Yeah.
just a couple days ago, even, reviewing issues 1 and 2 of Imposter Syndrome.
Yeah. It's you don't get too cocky about like how you feel about a comic after you read it all over after the fact, because there's nothing that can replicate the experience of reading it when it's new. Nothing.
Yeah, being a month by month reader of a comic can be quite an experience,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it's just a lot better when you can just have it all at once, and other times, when you're going back and rereading,
Mm-hmm.
after the fact, you can kind of miss out on the suspense at
Yeah.
time. In this case, there was suspense of I didn't think this was going to be good, and hey, well, I could have gone without that suspense.
Yeah.
Feeling pretty good about this comic.
Me too. Not just the miniseries, but the comic in general. This is making me feel better about it. But if we may begin digging in here, we have a cover.
Yeah, we're focusing more on an individual issue, so we can take a bit more time and just
Let's talk. So,
so
as you
we
can
mentioned our problems last time with the covers and having characters
because
in them.
issue one of Imposter Syndrome's cover A being the main cover that is supposed to represent the story. The cover A of issue 1 featured Sonic and Surge. Sonic and Surge never encounter one another in any of issue 1.
Yeah,
Then issue
or
2's
or
yeah. Issue 2 features Kit and Tails. Same applies there. They never encounter one another.
hmm
Issue 3. Okay, we're getting deeper into this. Maybe we're gonna see Starline and Metal and Eggman together. Nope. It's still just three characters are featured prominently throughout this comic, this issue, and only one of them is represented in cover A. With two other characters who are there only for the marketability of them. They're there, and the characters who actually belong on the cover are not there.
If this were like the B cover, if like the B cover were the connecting cover, which I think for Bad Guys
that was the case.
Cover. Yeah, and so like while I hold it up to Tangled Whispers connecting cover, it's an unfair competition, but also it loses. Mm-hmm. But it's I don't have the same criticism here where it's like this is the face of the comic and it's not representing the comic. Yeah, I don't know why.
Mm-hmm. Also, good lord. So I also just want to touch on once again. On the bottom left is issue 50 is coming, and I know, but like, there's also a new advertisement at the bottom of my comic book. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 coming soon to theaters.
I'm being marketed to.
Just the bottom half of this cover is owned by the comic telling you to spend more money on Sonic.
Mm-hmm.
Buy issue 50, buy tickets to go into a fucking theater in the pandemic, and...
Please don't, actually.
Do not do that. Do not do that.
Wait for it to come to streaming. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. This is our bit silly recommendation. Don't go to theaters to see Sonic 2, even if it's good.
Yeah.
Just it. There's a pandemic, and the variants aren't stopping.
Yeah. Also, keep masking up. I know like places are like removing mask restrictions, but like, listen. Even if you're not particularly vulnerable, the more a virus gets caught and transmitted and retransmitted, the higher a chance that it will mutate. And it is a dice roll every time a major mutation happens, whether it's going to become way deadlier.
Mm-hmm. So just be responsible.
Yeah, please. Sorry that was a bit heavy for just talking about.
Sometimes I just think about how topics can change every now and then, and I just feel sometimes I feel like, oh, gosh, am I doing good? Is this good? But that's just the imposter syndrome talking. Something that no one in this comic has.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about this last review, but since we have time here, I just want to talk about how this comic is called Imposter Syndrome and not Surgeon Kit. And that's not even a pun, because Surgeon Kit are not being imposters.
Yeah, I'm not actually like. This might seem like a nitpick, but like. The pair of Surgeon Kit have been like informally referred to by fans and maybe even by comic staff.
Oh yeah,
as, like,
inside the comic they are called imposters.
Okay, like
outside of the story, but like
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're not like. Number one, like they have no public presence. Like
yeah.
Starline is planning for them to pretend to be heroes.
Mm-hmm.
But. I mean, we'll talk about it. It doesn't seem like very likely that plan is gonna work out. I mean, number one, because they would have to kill Sonic first, but number two, because of the end of this comic, which we'll get to. But
yeah, and just even if they were
a name.
Even if they were in that situation, if they were just posing as heroes, that doesn't make them imposters. They're posers.
Mm-hmm. Posers.
But back to Enforcer Syndrome.
Yeah.
We have the story so far page, whatever.
I guess we probably won't have a a what am I, my word? Um, we probably won't be circling back to the covers later.
Mm-hmm.
So I just did want to bring up that there are two more covers, as there always are in these comics,
Oh
because
yeah, yeah.
modern comics and you know, artificial collectability and all that.
Yeah.
Cover B by Bacardi Curry is honestly probably my favorite cover out of this whole miniseries so far, and
Mm-hmm.
Evan Stanley's cover for issue 1 was gorgeous, so that's saying something.
Yeah. Ricardi Curry is an amazing talent and did a just stellar job here with cover B of issue 3.
Like, it's really good visually. It has, I love the red and black and the like, the the way it's just really cool, and it feels like it fits like
Mm-hmm.
the comic and the events of the comic, and like it speaks to the emotional states that are sewn off from our two characters here. You know, a lot of emotional states are sewn off for our two characters, so you know it's not that hard to find a couple that would fit. You just have to depict them on the comic, on the cover.
Yeah.
And then Aaron Hammerstrom, with colors by Priscilla Tramontano, is the retailer incentive cover.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's all right.
You know, it's got a big old hand
Mm-hmm.
with Starline and Hypno waves coming out of it, and crying Surds and a kind of despondent Kit.
Yeah. Still a better cover than cover A, but
It works well enough. It just doesn't really
yeah.
strike me
Mm-hmm.
on a personal level.
Yeah.
But moving beyond the covers to what's inside the comic.
Yeah, let's dig into page 1. Probably the worst page of the book.
Well, I did just want to go over.
Oh.
This is Imposter. Story is by Ian Flynn. Art, Thomas Roethlisberger and Mauro Fonseca.
Yeah.
Colors by Valentina Pinto. Letters by Son Lee. And Riley Farmer and David Marriott are the editors. Just to give the full credits, because we only have so much space on screen, so...
Yeah, that's true.
I do like calling out and telling people who worked on things.
Yeah, and they did a good job here.
Yeah.
So good on them.
But yeah. We open on another Starline vlog. This time the file, it tells us that it is from the main series, Sonic Comic issue 25.
Yeah, it's kind of in code, but like you can decipher it with enough imagination, and the game and the editors do tell you that it's issue 25 that he's referring to.
So if you haven't figured out the way that the files are coded yet, this might give you a key hint.
Yeah. And this scene really just doubles down on what we were talking about last time with just the implications of Starline and how he's coded and his feelings for Eggman.
Mm-hmm.
He specifically says that Dr. Eggman rejected him.
Yeah.
And it just, he proceeds to come more unglued as the vlog progresses, and it's very tiresome and not surprising, but disappointing from the writer.
I have been thinking about this scene, so I actually do have a bit to say about it.
Yeah.
So first off, for context, of course, Sonic 25 was a while ago.
Yeah.
That was the first issue that is arbitrarily a milestone issue, because it's a multiple of 25, and it's marketable to celebrate things like that, basically.
Yeah.
So, like, it was a double-size issue.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Goss, right? Like, it came out just after I started reading the comic.
Ah.
Yeah, I think it might have been the first issue that I was reading new, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe the second.
Mm.
Because I started getting caught up in December, and it was a. But I remember that it was coming out, and there were delays and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, and in that issue, several things happened, but the most prominent being that Starline has the warp topaz stolen from him,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see he does not have it anymore in this comic,
Yes. Yes.
and he hasn't had it for a while, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And he is bodily thrown through a portal he had just made by Metal Sonic,
Mm-hmm.
and because I did want to talk about the actual contents of this opening page,
Okay.
because here Starline is very much ranting, disheveled, angry, and declaring that he will show Eggman how he was wrong. And he
Mm-hmm.
has this barely, like, this mismatch of, like, robot parts and wires that kind of looks like it's Metal Sonic a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
But red.
yeah, and he's very upset at Metal Sonic on account of the throwing,
Mm-hmm.
and he is, rather than being rational, he's
Mm-hmm.
being irrational and yelling, even saying, "Yes, that means you, Metal Sonic," and being very angry. And spit is like flying out of his mouth, and it's a whole like
Yeah. I don't. I'm not. I don't like it.
basically we are being shown a breakdown of sorts,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just problems with that. And I think maybe we should talk about, like,
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah.
because so far we haven't really talked much about ableism and sanism
Yeah.
in imposter syndrome, and that's because there hasn't really been much to speak of. But
Here we have Starline having a breakdown. I think for comedic purposes, we're being shown
I
this.
I think this is for dramatic purposes. This one, like, I think this is meant to just illustrate his mental state at the time. Like, I think this is meant to be dramatic.
Hmm.
And, like, I think it's probably meant to be uncomfortable, but not in the way that I'm finding it uncomfortable,
Hmm.
which is kind of the crux of the problem with, like, these kinds of stereotypical depictions of just mental health.
Yeah.
It's basically, it's the kind of thing that just happens a lot in comics, in cartoons, in everything, and
It's not just this comic. It's not just writer Ian Flynn. It's
yeah.
the world and
This is a
society.
regrettably common kind of shorthand that gets used way too often, and I don't want it to just go by without, like,
Okay.
bringing attention to the fact that I don't appreciate it, and for specifically that reason.
All right.
Um, but we do move on into page 2.
Where Starline has collected himself and I think this file is Bad Guys issue 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end, and
I will note, of course, that if Starline ends the first page screaming at the camera, his glasses flying off, and then we cut to Starline thoughtfully holding up one of the power cores and saying, "Introspection and revision."
two things my idol lacks, two things I must embrace to surpass him.
So
And
we're very much looking at it like a deliberate contrast.
mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I guess I feel like maybe if some, I feel like maybe if I was like in a hypothetical world where I'm the editor, I feel like I could probably think of ways to change this scene to be less like feel less sanest to me while still keeping the spirit of like this because
Mm-hmm.
I honestly I kind of like this first page, but I also don't like it because it is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to bring that up.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we see in this page the shocking truth, as it were. Um, where Starling reveals exactly what happened to Surge and Kit. Dr. Eggman has spent all this time inserting the animals into his robots, he says, when the solution was the other way around. And we see Surge and Kit in test tubes, and it's a big reveal, and he's just turned cyborgs into them. Turn them into
Yeah.
cyborgs. And we cut to Surgeon Kit in the next page, not being terribly impressed or shocked.
I think maybe Kit is, but
Mm.
I'm not. I don't. It's not a very good expression on Kit in this particular panel.
Yeah.
Like he's got one eye half closed, but his mouth is wide open.
Yeah, it doesn't.
There are better expressions. In fact, on this page, there are better expressions for Kit. Every
Yeah,
other one, in fact. I just don't think this specific one, I think it was a bit important, worked out well.
I like that bottom right one. After Surge says if she wants his opinion, she'll give it to him.
Yeah.
But there is a line I do want to just bring up because it was such a fucking groaner when we read it.
Though I do also just want to bring up on the. I've been thinking about page 2 and 3 ever since the previews have come out, and just like trying to think of like, am I supposed to be impressed? And the reason is that when Starline says when the solution is the other way around, he stands dramatically in front of these test tubes. Where
Yes.
Surge and Kit are like grimacing in pain and surrounded by bubbles because that's a thing. And it's clearly like, oh, he is putting on a show. He is being dramatic, and he thinks this is very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But then we cut to Surge saying the line we're gonna get to, clearly not being impressed, and it's like, is this part meant to be funny? Is this like meant to be a deflation of him thinking it's all very cool, and like, I'm just not sure.
I'm not sure either.
It didn't end up landing as a joke for us, but you know.
I was more distracted than able to like register anything as a joke, if I may.
Go ahead.
Surge says, "Sweet guy up below. Does this guy ever shut up?" And oh my chaos, sweet guy up below.
Oh my Arceus.
Good lord.
I always associate this kind of thing with Pokemon fanfic because they do it. I mean, it's worse than Pokemon fanfic. Oh my Arceus. I'll take Sweet Guy Below over Oh my Arceus. It's just so awkward. But Sweet Guy Below is still pretty awkward.
It doesn't. It just doesn't make sense as a thing for. It doesn't make sense for a thing for Surge to say, I think.
It's also just like a matter of like.
Yeah.
Like, Light Gaia and Dark Gaia, like the two Gaias, aren't like worshipped in the same sense as like, I don't know, the Christian deity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, it's
yeah, it's not the same. There's like temples,
Yeah.
but like
It feels like it's an old religion, a global religion that is very much like sort of lost a lot of its recognition.
yeah.
Like people don't really know about or respect uh
What am I supposed
like
to?
Gaia.
What am I supposed to think happens here? Just Starline sitting, Surge in bed every night. Just like, okay, remember to pray to your Lord and Savior, Dark Gaia, every night.
And now to read for your usual bedtime story, another chapter from
Oh,
the Gaia manuscripts.
she's like, fuck you, Dad. You're not my dad.
And don't call her Superboy.
Don't call her Superboy, or Shirley. And it just took me out of the book when I read Sweet Gaia Below. It felt like the comic was pausing so that I could be shown off to.
Yeah, it's honestly it's a similar energy I get whenever like Ian puts in the lyrical references to Sonic songs. It's just like it doesn't feel organic, and also no one else is gonna say "Sweet Guy Below" because I mean, even if you don't mind it now, you would start to mind it if it kept getting said. But it like the reason why people say God is because that's a thing that people culturally say. It's a
Yeah.
common phrase.
Mm-hmm. Not gonna be saying chaos.
Hmm?
That's another word. Like God is God, and you say
Yeah.
and you take his name in vain for fun. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
But like chaos, it's like you just sound like you're a stranger in paradise. Yeah.
Not a hope or a dream.
Oh God.
Yeah. Also, especially with chaos, it's like people super, even especially, don't worship chaos.
Everyone who fucking knew about it is fucking killed.
Yeah,
Knuckles
it's
doesn't
like
even know. Knuckles doesn't know shit.
Knuckles didn't know. Knuckles would be the one person who might know.
He didn't
You
know.
know, Eggman had to just find like old notes and stuff and like, wow, ancient stuff about a god.
It's cool shit.
I'm gonna crack it open with a hammer. Wait, no, that's a comic book.
Yeah, he just busts open the Master Emerald or the
No, no,
no
the,
no
the Onyx Emerald.
the Onyx.
Because
You just
the Mammoth logo was directed. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a different comic. God,
Oh,
that was a. Whew.
oh I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
We should review that Sonic Adventure adaptation sometime because there is so much to that.
God yes,
But
God yes.
moving past an individual line we didn't quite like.
Yeah.
And to talk about the scene actually in front of us.
Yeah, Surge remarks, does this guy ever shut up? Which kind of ties more into just the kind of like vanity undertone that Starline has going on.
Yeah, which is we've talked about this. We're
Don't
not
like
big fans of
Don't like it.
just a lot of the coding that goes into Starline.
Kit asks if Surge wants him to log out, and even though Surge hasn't gotten her dailies in on the MMO she plays, she says no, because Kit did good hacking into Starline's files, and there is some. I like how there is some like begrudging like giving remarking on how well Kit did,
Yeah,
which
just
is
giving Kit.
you see more of as the issue progresses. Just the bond between them continuing to grow.
And yeah, we got a little bit of Kit being good with machines last time when he was hacking into like the communications tower. And here we have him continuing to do that.
Yeah.
As the Tails. And we see him hacking with not only his hands, but he brings up two of his little hydrocoil tails. I'm just gonna call them water tentacles, probably.
Mm-hmm.
He has two of his little water tentacles and is also typing with those. Which, don't. I know you can make cute little hands, I see in this art, but, like, that's a keyboard.
It's gonna get all wet!
What if you start, like, that's just kind of cause damage. I just don't think that you thought this plan out. Small child?
But he says his archives are extensive. Starline has like terabytes of selfies. How terrible. That's what I thought of. It's the English scripts, Dig at Eggman and Sonic Forces.
Yeah.
Which is not great. And then Surge says, being a mad scientist, which Surge is not, which Starline I think is pretty definitively not, wasn't bad enough. He had to be a wannabe influencer too, and another thing that it doesn't really make sense for Surge to say, and is just here for the readers to laugh at. Like,
this one is a different story though. This is like it's time for the modern reference.
Yeah.
How about those TikTokers?
Like
on TikTok?
Like what else am I supposed to... So like before he puts Surge and Kit to bed, he watches Markiplier with them? What the fuck?
On him.
I looked up YouTube influencers, the first one there.
I mean, it's not the worst one to find.
No, unfortunately. But yeah. Then Kit says now we know how he enhanced us, because apparently they can't put two and two together.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not being treated as too big of a deal, but it just feels weird that, like, there was a focus on, but how did he enhance us? That was a little shaky even in the comic that introduced it. And then it's just like, but by enhancing them.
Yeah. But,
like, this is why this is part of the reason why I was not looking forward to this comic, is that it's like so much seemed to be hinging on this obvious thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really a big thing, Cluster, and yeah. Anyway,
I don't know. I don't understand what you're doing.
Yeah. So nothing is happening, and no one definitely forgot to edit the stream info. On the I assure y'all, this is a review of issue 3, as you may have known from tuning in. Good Lord, I'm sorry, I forgot to do that.
It's fine.
Yeah, but that's done now. Sorry. I just now noticed midstream. Anyway, Surge says when she wants Kit's opinion, she'll give it to him, and then demands more deets.
Deets I'm fine with. That
feels about right for Surge. That feels right.
Yeah. On our critique of individual lines and whether or not they feel right for Surge.
Yeah.
That one reads a patent. And we go to our next Starline vlog, and this one I actually I tried to see if I could figure out anything for the file name, but it just seems to be random.
That like there's 44 at the end, like maybe that's just like the end of Zeddy Hunt.
Yeah, but then every other one was like it spelled out Sonic, where this is like P05757H44, and like it's, you know, because we've seen a few vlogs that were like during a Sonic.
It's got a weird file name, this one.
Yeah.
But
we've been remarking on them, so I wanted to bring up that I don't know what this one's about.
Yeah. Maybe we'll find out in the annual.
Woo!
There's gonna be an annual this year.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. But Yeah. Um. So in this page, he's talking about specializing his base models that have just been completed, and makes some remark about the biomechanical miracles of his adversaries. Um,
What biomechanical miracles? What are you talking
what
about,
is he?
dude?
Is Sonic
Like,
going fast? A biomechanical miracle? What
what,
about
what's the biomechanical miracle of Melsonic?
who is in silhouette here?
And it's neo metal for some reason. I don't know.
And we're all
Um,
very impressed that Neo Metal is still existent. And then there's
and
Shadow here.
Shadow, which I guess because Shadow wanted to hurt him bad that one time,
Mm,
and he had to run away, and he looked
mm,
very silly.
yeah.
That's why he is an adversary.
Yes.
But yeah, we have images here of Neo Metal, Sonic in silhouette, Sonic, Shadow, and then we have the
Sonic Hero
power,
stuff.
speed, and flight Sonic Heroes thing, and Tails' hair, a vial of it,
Yeah.
which he stole that during Sour Aces and Badic Bases.
Hmm.
He wanted to steal the whole Tails, but
Only got the hair.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was kind of foiled.
Lots of creepy fan visits of Justin Bieber go that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Starline remarks that Kitsunami will need external support. Subject Surge will need electromagnetic propulsion. But he's aiming to improve upon things, not maintain the status quo. But that much power must be kept under control. Once again, I looked at Dr. Eggman for inspiration, and then we get some talking about Bell with some binary from a Bell thing.
Yeah, there's this little like stylized silhouette of Belle, and the stylized silhouette in the image is the stylized silhouette in the image is has a little speech bubble, and the speech bubble has four chunks of binary, and I translated it. It says soul.
He, she has a soul, and now Starline has the code for making a soul, and
I'm still I'm still not fully getting how you take Belle's positronic brain or whatever and like
yeah,
apply that to a biological one.
yeah. I don't know how that works, and I won't
I mean,
pretend
I
to know.
also I don't know. I guess Belle is really advanced, but like very advanced.
But Starlin remarks that they will think what he wants them to think, want what
His
he desires.
creation.
His creations will think what he wants them to think, want what he desires them to want, and be who he wants them to be. As a failsafe, they've been made especially prone to his hypnotic gear, just in case they need realignment. And this is the first time Surge and Kit find out about this.
Also, this is the first time I realize the word prone is here.
Prone! I remember Prone!
I don't know how many of y'all listening have like read Ian's early forays into Sonic comics, but for some reason he used the word prone a lot.
Fuck vulnerability, it's time for Prone.
Like the word prone was used in basically every situation that you could use it in,
Yeah.
and it was just strange.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I do want to take a moment though.
Mm-hmm.
I will be right back.
Okay. Okay, alright. We were talking about comic books last I checked. And, yeah, Prone was in the early Archie Sonic books. It's the
Well,
word
the early
Prone.
one, but
Not the early, but like the early times Ian was on them. So from
it's
160
starting
to...
from about the mid.
Yeah. It was a little over halfway through its lifespan, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, yeah. So, so yeah. That's a thing. That's a thing. And we have this last panel from this page that has Kit and Surge, and once again, I just feel like the expression work here could have been better. I feel like we could have been selling this moment better.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of gravitas to it. Like, Kit just kind of, like, looks like he is uncomfortable. Like, he's seeing a video of someone who has, like, harmed themselves in an embarrassing way.
Yeah. Oh no. And Surge is very angry.
I don't think it looks good when you draw her eyes in the way that they're being drawn here.
I don't think so either.
And maybe don't draw her eyes like that, because I don't think it aesthetically works very good.
It's an unfortunate thing to have happen when the designer of the character is drawing the page. But the next page is the hypno sessions, where Starline essentially programs the two into their personalities.
Yeah, we get 3 panels for each, going down vertically with Surge on the left side and Kit on the right side, and a little bubble for the. It's where the same way where the fire names were each time, telling us which hypnotism session we're on.
Yeah.
So we start with Surge's 5th session.
Just saying, I hate Sonic, I want to destroy Sonic.
And we get Kit's 2nd session.
And who looks absolutely transfixed. And then session 58, we're starting to get more feeling from Surge as Starline repeats, "You hate Sonic. You want to destroy Sonic." And Surge says, "I hate Sonic," and then, "I want to destroy Sonic." So
clenching your fists.
Yeah. And then that's session 58 for Surge. Session 15 for Kit. Starlight just kicking it. He's having his drink, and he's like, "You live to support Surge, to do anything for her." And Kit is he's here for it. He's here for it.
Yeah. As we mentioned in our review in 1 and 2, Kit's whole thing did just seem to be Surge and nothing else. And sure enough, it seems that his hypnotism was just Surge
and nothing else.
And nothing else.
Yeah. And then we have session 232 of Surge.
Yep.
Featuring Starline asking Surge what she thinks of Sonic, and there is this pretty cute drawing of her just very much having come into her current persona.
Yeah, she is so slouched down on the chair that her I think her mid back might be touching the seat.
Yeah, and there is like this kind of edgy, "I'll wipe my shoes on his grave after I put him in it. He'll be in it after I put him in.
Yeah,
wipe my shoes on it." And then then we have session 33
with Kit.
Yeah, where Surge asks, where Starline asks, God, I'm still doing it. Starline asks
Yes.
Kit what he thinks of Surge. And
He's so cute. He's so
Kit has
cute.
this wonderful, wonderful response.
I look out for her, no matter what. I'll do anything for her. Where is she? Can I see her now?
It's so good. It's so good.
It's. I like this page.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is, of course, page 6, meaning it was the first page out of the previews.
Yeah. And it definitely sets the tone for the rest of the comic in that we think it's well done and it's good.
Mm-hmm.
um,
I mean, it's even just good comedically. Like, it has a good setup, follow through, and payoff for like these two very different experiences in hypnotism, and like it's interesting that we can just sort of see the difference in between the two,
mm-hmm.
even without like seeing much of the sessions, just by looking at the numbers of what session we're at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Surge, as he has been doing in the comics, is the one giving Starline so much trouble. You know, just her force of personality being an issue, while Kit, much more like putty. Much easier to mold.
Yes, yes. So then we get some lore, as they say, about why they're so resilient. They have metal virus in them.
This file name is PR3-1MP-SYM, or pre-imposter syndrome.
I get it.
And yeah, so I wasn't sure, but this, just because, like, I thought that Surge was probably stabbed in issue 2 last, and it's looking like she did. It seems like they have just a cellular regeneration factor.
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of thing that probably won't come up very much in the future. Just because, like...
The reason Surge was able to be stabbed last issue wasn't because of her healing factor. It's because she was buried under rubble.
Yeah, like, this isn't the X-Men. We can't just, like, show her getting stabbed and then have her pull it out and then zoom in real close on her chest as it heals up.
Yeah, like...
any stabbing and healing factor that happens will happen off-screen, or with tasteful censoring. Because this comic is meant to be read by children.
Heck of a concept, I know, but yeah. And we have this pretty cute scene at the end of Surge's tests with Surge pulling Starline close and screaming, "I'm not running it again! You want data? You run it!"
I mean, I do just want to mention on the tests. We see we see Surge in 3 different test sessions.
Yeah. In
one, she is nearly stopping before she hits a buzzsaw, not paying attention to the buzzsaw approaching close behind her.
Yeah.
In the next, she is falling into a pit of spikes because some trapdoors opened and she was seemingly running too fast, as you can tell from the lightning.
Yeah.
And then in the 3rd test session, which is number 105, drowning. And that's the one that she's not running again.
Yeah.
We then get to see some test sessions with Kit.
Which,
one in which...
notably, there are a lot more with Kit. Like, 337, there's Kit still struggling. 458, Kit is still struggling. 529, he is not doing well. Session 601, he doesn't want to be in it, but Starlight's telling him, "What are you doing here?" He's just starting.
So yeah, we see him trying to stop himself from being crushed by 2 giant pistons. I don't think he succeeds.
Mm-hmm.
We see him carrying a weight while doing some flying, and it looks like running out of water.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably going to smash face first into that electric thing.
Yeah.
And then there's this tiny drawing of him with tiny pupils as he's being blowtorched. And I think he's making a bubble with his water, maybe?
Yeah.
Because he kind of looks like he has one of the bubble seals from the games. And I assume it's his water doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And while Surge is just like
Huh?
trying to run past and annoyedly looking back to see him go, ah! And
I assume
then,
afterwards saying, he's probably fine.
and then, yeah, in test session number 601, as he said, he is actually just curled up in a ball,
Mm-hmm.
unable to join the test, which leads into
Starline saying, Surge is starting her run right now. What are you doing here?
well, it leads into the next panel.
Yes. Pre-imposter syndrome once again. Starline states that an unforeseen necessity for the hypnotic vulnerability has been dealing with the psychological trauma.
Because he's kind of been almost killing them repeatedly. And then we see some panels. The first panel on the next page is really grim looking.
Yep.
With just Surge looking like she is being very battered and broken.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also kind of played for comedy because there is a motobug in front of her cheering at its victory.
Yeah.
Being cheered on by egg pawns.
There's Kid plummeting to his doom.
Because he's run out of water.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what the fuck's happening in this third one.
Okay, so I've been... Number one, I just don't care for how her mouth is being drawn, but we have Surge grabbing what I think is the eye stalk of crab meat and just kind of, in anger and trauma, strangling the eye stalk.
Starline goes over that he can't erase their memories entirely. They're learning and improving. So, with each revival, he says, he suppresses and edits. It's tedious, but they're making progress. And he says that they'll hopefully be ready for field testing soon. And we see 3 more panels.
First, we have Kit being held up by his ears by an egg pawn while he is once again run out of water. In a very dramatic-looking scene for an egg pawn to get.
Yeah.
Surge is standing triumphantly over a pile of beaten badniks, while one of those big hammer guys from Heroes is about to squish her.
Yep.
And then Kit is dealing with the pink poison water from Chemical Plant Zone and like the platforms that like move around and then like...
Ugh, terrible.
Oh, he's clearly missed his jump timing.
I mean...
And he's panicking. He could land on top and like make it work, but I don't think he's gonna. I think he's panicking. He's just gonna like...
I've been there.
And so this whole collection of scenes with the tests and Starline's commentary is real interesting to me.
Yeah.
Partly it's interesting to me because like these are like game references. Like some of these I definitely get. Others I might even be specific references I'm missing. But like, you know, I like I said, Pink Water, Chemical Plant Zone, and like. Because basically what Starline is doing is he's having Surge and Kit run through replicas of the things Sonic and Tails have been through. And he's just throwing them into the deep end and forcing, like, presumably these were just 2 totally normal kids before the cybernetic enhancements, and he is just forcing them to run these trials over and over, sort of trying to deal with the psychological pain of dying over and over, in a very brute force way, and then just, like, doing it until they're good enough.
It's very edgy.
I like it. I think it worked.
I also like that Tom Cruise movie where he dies a lot and has to restart every time.
This part really works for me. I think.
It is an
I quite.
interesting element of the story, for sure. And in the next panel, we see Surge and Kid having their own reactions, and also this is where Thomas Roethlisberger's arc takes over, by my count, according to the Sonic News Network. Mora Fonseca does pages 1 through 9, and then 10 through 20 is Thomas Roethlisberger again. But we see Surge being very angry and clenching her fist, while Kid does not look like he's having a good time.
Yeah, especially in the second panel here.
Yeah. And
Surge starts to ask Kit to look something up, and he just says, "Can we please stop?"
he doesn't want to know anymore. And Surge insists, look up who we were. And talks about how they're cyborgs. Starline put stuff in them, but he didn't make them. So who were they? Volunteers? Kidnapped? Heroes? Convicts? Who were they before this?
And Kit goes a-looking.
Yeah.
But there's no record.
And Surge insists, look harder, but he did, and there's nothing there. Surge asks, why not? And that's when Starline enters the room, saying, because it's irrelevant. Coldly remarking, it's past your bedtime, children.
He's like walking in, pulling on his magic hypno glove, and just wearing a bathrobe.
Yeah.
Or like a... not bath... a house
lounge?
What?
Something like that.
Yeah.
He's in his comfy clothes.
Yeah.
But Surge proceeds to rant at Starline, just saying she needs context. If she has no past, all she has is this, and this is nothing. She's nobody. Just a knockoff, she says, and that everything's a lie. And I feel like earlier pages of this comic could have hammered home her just distraughtness over this more better than just her increasingly being angry.
Yeah. Could have had more of a ramp up to this.
Yeah.
I do like Starline's line here, though.
Oh yeah, it might be one of the best lines in the whole book.
And it's set to a very nice like composition where we see him, but the background behind him has just been blacked out, and then it switches to like a hypno swirl.
Starline says, "Oh, Surge, we keep having this conversation, and it always ends the same way." And which implies that they've made it this far before.
Yeah, which I like. I dig the like.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it's not a tough like plot point to do, but I'm a sucker for this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The whole like, the heroes having some kind of amnesia or whatever caused by plot reasons, and then we, the audience, finding out that they've figured things out before and lost it.
Yeah. And we have a panel that I think could have sold the emotion behind it. It's one of the few times where I feel like Ian's script is not being done justice here. Where Surge says no, not again, and the dialogue bubble is very frantic, very impassioned and emotional.
It's surrounded by like a thick pink border, even.
Yeah, and it's all in bold, all large text, and then but the art just looks like it's really bright out, and she just woke up. It's too bright. And she says, Kit, get him. And Kit, for once, has his eyes light up. There we go.
His eyes are glowing. He's also drawn in a particular way that's like his eyes are all shadowed, presumably from his bangs, and you just see his glowy parts sticking out.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. I'm not like the particular way he gets drawn. I think is meant to make him look like a little demon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then Starline uses his spur to take out Kit.
Yeah, because Kit starts attacking with his watery tentacles.
Yeah.
And Starline is
It's frantically
very
dodging.
much frantic. Yeah, that's a good word. And then he electrocutes one of them, which sends Kit tumbling back.
Only to be followed by Surge charging forward.
Yeah, doing a spin dassy, homing attacky sort of turn into a ball attacking. It's a Sonic-y thing to do.
And Starling enlists the power of his Tricore, specifically the power.
Yeah.
Blocks.
Doing a little cross-arm guard.
Yeah. And Surge points out a critical weakness of the Tricore.
One that I remember noting when it first debuted, though it's finally coming up. It's been a while since he's been in a fight.
Yeah, and this one's actually pretty impactful. And Surge says, "Gotta pick one flavor off your Tricore at a time, Doc. You want power or speed?" And remarked that too bad you built me for both, only to get counteracted with the flight power in one of the. Pardon me, I gotta sneeze. The only moment in the action that's actually pretty unclear to me. I don't know what. Can you explain what happens here?
So he switches to flight, and then as you can see from the little trail, he goes up and around and under, which I guess indicates that we're on a little bridge. Okay. This is probably evident. And then he goes under it and over. It really just seems to be for fanciness that he goes under, because you'd think it would take up enough time that Surge could just, turn around. But, yeah, it is for dramatic purposes. And he outmaneuvers Surge and then
monologues.
Does a kick, which I guess is like a sort of an axe kicky thing. And as one, I guess his little heel spurs do vaguely defined things, and one of those things, as shown in the Bad Guys miniseries, is that he has some kind of a poison that can induce paralysis.
Yeah, that's a platypus thing, I think.
Yeah, because Platypi have little spurs, and he has little cowboy with the spurs, and his spurs have a little toxin.
Yeah. Stalin remarks, "I've invested too much into you, but I will punish you further if necessary." And that's when Surge gets the upper hand. With a really, really fun moment. Saying, first, you made me heal real fast. And second, you forgot about Kit. And Kit has recovered, and now has Starline thoroughly in his clutches.
Yeah.
And it's at that point that Starling finally realizes the situation has gone careening out of his control.
And this is neat to me. This the way that this brief but effective action scene. Because this is one, two. There's 3 pages of action.
And it works.
Yeah. This is a rarity when I'm reading an Ian Flynn written comic, but it's an action scene I like. I usually am not a fan of his action scenes.
But here we are.
Hmm.
Starline begins.
And well, sorry, I was just briefly.
Please
pausing.
continue.
I like that the healing factor matters here. Like, it was explained how it works vaguely. I mean, it was explained enough. And like, you know, here we have the toxin not working on Surge because healing factor, and like, it's just neat. I don't know, I'm just kind of jazzed about this comic.
Yeah. Starline begins bargaining with Surge, trying desperately to make her realize how valuable he is to her. Just saying he's the only one who knows their pasts, and the only one who can maintain their enhancements. And it's trying to just impress upon them how important what they're doing is.
I built you for a higher purpose. We will.
And Surge says to hold him, and then as she puts on the hypnoglove before grabbing him by the hair, shoving the hypnoglove in his face, and saying, "Shut up!"
With little hypno swirls in his eyes as he gets a taste of his own medicine.
Kit asks...
I will say though, I doubt Starline bothered to remember if he ever learned their pasts for real. And others could probably maintain their enhancements, just like keep his files around. But you know, he's trying. He's trying to bargain.
He's terrified.
He is very terrified.
But Kit asks, now what?
Yeah, with his cute little baby face.
Boy, Surge is crying and resolving the two's just the direction they're going to be going from now on. This is them deciding what is going to be their goal from now on, which not every duo gets. Rough and Tumble could never. But she resolves to burn it all down. Sonic, Eggman, every fool that follows either of them. They ended it all. No more heroes, no more villains. Are you friend or fiend? And if they don't get a past, they don't get a future.
To be clear, Surge's line is, if you wouldn't mind saying.
We end it all. No more heroes, villains, nothing.
No, the next one.
If we don't get a past, they don't get a future.
Yeah. Because what you said they both times, so it was...
Okay.
Anyway.
Alright.
And Kit seems to be in agreement with this, and just says, okay, how? And here we're getting something from Kit that we did not get in issues 1 or 2, but we have been getting in at least some of the cover arts leading up to this.
Yeah.
Kit has another personality trait. And we get to see him acting cold and dispassionate.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Because Surge is thinking of just starting by just fucking up Starline in another very graphic and edgy line. Kit offers an idea first, asking if he may offer an idea, and Surge says, "No, you're supposed to be the smart one. Let's hear it."
And he looks down coldly at Starline, his face shadowed, only one of his eyes even visible, and says, "Starline was already planning to bring everyone together. We could use his plan up to a point, then take it on our own direction. Destroy Sonic and Tails as planned, and go on to destroy the Doctors too. If that's okay with you, ma'am." As he looks up and he looks all frightened.
Yeah. And Surge is agreeable to this plan. Which I think is the first time they've really had a moment like that, as far as we've seen. Just like they've bonded to the point where like they're settling into this little like routine where like
it's it's definitely something that I noticed just with like in issues 1 and 2, they were very much not functioning as a pair.
Yeah.
Well, but here they are working much better together, and Surge is treating Kit better.
And not just getting caught up in not wanting to be told what to do.
Yeah, and I have some thoughts about that. Maybe we should save them for
Yeah.
in a bit, but yeah.
Starling comes to shortly after. Well, not shortly after, but you know, after Surge has put his clothes back on.
And presumably done a hypno session.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. He wakes up in his chair.
He's like, and then he looks back, and then he's like, "What?" And
because on the screen of his computer, we see the final image that they had paused on, which was Kit drowning in the pink water.
Mm-hmm. And then Surge explains what happened.
You know, it's just a little good, easy, completely truthful explanation for Starline, so he doesn't have to worry about anything.
Yep. So, Surge characterizes what Starline supposedly fell asleep on as a pre-mission prep time where Starline was filling them in on the details of how he made them. Or some nonsense, Surge says. Wasn't paying full attention. Starline says, I did.
Surge looks very confused.
Surge says, sure did. Starline, even more confused, is like, and you're fine with this. And then in a very, very interesting panel to me, a very interesting panel, where Surge is making up blowing my brains out motion with her hand. It's like a line like going along to her and then kind of blowing out behind the other side.
Yeah.
Says, well, if it wasn't before, I'm pretty sure you wiped that out of my brain. And then gives a pretty compelling alibi for someone who doesn't really know or care about them as people, for why they would be okay with this. Saying that she wants a lifetime of hero worship, and it's easy to do, and then Kit's cool with it because she says he's cool with it.
Yeah. Surge is really laying it on thick.
Yeah.
Kit less so. He's just sitting there,
Mm-hmm.
hands folded, expression blank, saying nothing but, yes, ma'am.
But this is so much exactly what Starline wanted to hear. He's just too happy to even question it. Just glad they're past that milestone, and, you know, just makes a remark about how he'll have to stick to his schedule if he's working himself to exhaustion like that. Ooh. And there's a panel.
Don't overwork yourself, people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we have a panel recognition between Surge and Kit.
Yeah, Kit has a little, thin smile going on, and or Kit has the.
Yeah, Kit has that, and Surge is like, yeah. Surge asks what the plan is, boss, and Starline is very excited to share it. And says that the restoration focused on rebuilding, so too did Dr. Eggman. They'll be invading his new capital city, which is where he'll upload his override program. And then Surge says, scramble the Eggman with his own bots. Love it. Just trying to yeah, it's a great plan, boss. But Starlight,
of course,
takes umbrage with this. No! We're to pacify Dr. Eggman. Sonic and Tails are our only terminal targets. To which Surge says, not bad.
Yeah, very, very much, it was neat.
Yeah. And, Starline proceeds to explain what'll be happening next issue. Their activities there will undoubtedly grab the attention of the heroes and lure them in. The bad eggs will be sufficient for ancillary support, freeing them up to focus on what they were made for. Once they've separated and cornered their targets, Surge and Kit will strike with all their ferocity and with zero remorse. But that's also what they're going to do to Starline. As we can see here, they're looking at each other conspiratorially, and Surge is wiping off that terrible, shitty logo off of the back. Kit is wiping off that terrible logo from the back of Starline's chair.
Take that Starline brand toothpaste.
Fuck it. Just fuck it. And that's the end of the issue.
Yeah, next time, which is not next month.
Yeah,
Invading the Eggman Empire. Again, this is...
And,
Trading back and forth. Next month is issue 49 of the main series, but, you know.
Then we get to Letter Squad, and it's has some nonsense about, oh, does anyone else think Surge is losing it a bit? And I don't care. It doesn't matter. We had a good comic.
Yeah.
Even Letter Squad being fucking bullshit can't get me upset about it. It was a good issue.
Yeah. It's so something that I've been thinking about regarding this issue. And it's something that I hope... Basically, I'm hoping this is a deliberate thing that I'm seeing being telegraphed to me and not a fluke.
Mm-hmm.
Is that in issues 1 and 2, Surge was being very abusive and bad to Kit, and in general they were not working together well. And Starline was, of course, repeatedly hypnogloving them in issue 1. And then in issue 2, Surge ends up, taking her suspicions and leading Kit away to avoid getting, avoid arousing any suspicions and incidentally avoid getting hypnogloved.
Yeah.
Which leads us into here, where it's been a bit since he's had to pacify them with hypnotism, and what I think is happening is that with the more time away from the hypnosis sort of resetting them, their proper personalities and who they are taking shape. And, for Kit, we're seeing his cold and analytical side. And for Surge, we're seeing more of her sort of, caring a bit side for Kit.
For Kit and no one else. Yeah.
And what I find interesting about it is just, Starline's own plan and process to constantly put them through the ringer and then reset them, but he notes that it never takes it all away. They still learn, even if they don't necessarily know they're learning. And it feels to me like their bond was also growing. And that, not just Kit's hypnotized devotion to Surge, but, a genuine, bond in their struggle under Starline was formed between them.
Yeah. So that's neat.
Yeah, this comic is neat. I'm really, really hoping that this storyline sticks the landing.
That's the big thing. That's the big if, because we're over halfway through, and there is still an ending. And the thing about middles is they can include whatever you like, but the beginning and ending are really important. And if they don't, even if you get some good development in the middle, if you don't pay it off properly,
yeah,
you end up with the MCU. But yeah, I'm gonna be interested in seeing how I feel about this comic after I've read issue 51. because I feel like that's gonna be where like we get the most hindsight, like in like,
Yeah.
in this storyline. Like once we feel like we've thoroughly told what happens in the story.
Yeah, because this miniseries is leading right into issue 50. We know that 51 will be written by Ian, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Presumably an epilogue to whatever issue 50 is going to be.
Battle for the Empire.
Yeah.
They're gonna fight. They're gonna fight it.
They're going to fight for the Empire. The Empire's going to be in the middle, and they're going to be like, no, Empire! Empire, come over here, Empire! We have treats. We have Empire treats.
And the Empire just can't choose, and then it flips a coin, and then the coin lands on its side, and it rolls down down into a sewer grate, and then you look down into the sewer grate, it lands on its side again. Gosh, the Empire's never gonna get with Betty or Veronica.
So yeah, this was an issue.
It felt like it was actually paying off for once, and I'm really happy about that because the past few part 3s we've gotten from Ian have been very bad.
Yeah, I have not been enjoying.
Also, specifically in the art department, like part 3 of Bad Guys was pretty shocking.
Yeah, for anyone who didn't read it, there were, I believe, some behind-the-scenes troubles. They had to end up bringing in multiple artists, and some of the art definitely suffered. Yeah, some of the art definitely suffered from what I can only assume was a time crunch.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Zeddy Hunt storyline in the main comics.
It sure had a good beginning, just art-wise.
Again, issue 3 there, there were more artists credited than usual, and some of the art just looked really bad, and it, again, very much felt like there was a time crunch happening. So I'm glad that whatever problems were happening in specifically the third part of stories written by Ian didn't happen here, partly because this was a really good and well-written part 3, so it would have sucked if we had to have a big asterisk about the art here.
Yeah. I think it's really good, and I really appreciate Ian, just sitting down, hunkering down, going to the writing table, and just writing a good Tangle and Whisper issue 3 again.
Which, to be clear, is not a criticism.
No,
but
no.
In Tangle and Whisper issue 3, we have Tangle and Whisper
learning about Whisper's backstory.
Yeah, and going through recordings and learning about how Whisper got to where she was, while also strengthening their bond and resolving to take the fight to their villain in the next following issue. Which might sound just a little familiar. It's a little familiar to some of the events of the comic we just recapped.
Yeah. And it's also very much taking a page out of Bad Guy's book in a way, because once again, Starline is having the tables turned on him, and he doesn't realize it until it's going to be too late. Except this time, I care.
Yeah, so I think it helps that, in Bad Guys, I think it's fair to talk about Bad Guys, because Bad Guys was the previous miniseries. It was also a villain-focused miniseries, and it also heavily featured Starline. That time, Starline was the protagonist. This time, the protagonists are Surge and Kit. And in that miniseries, he recruits multiple villains, Zavok, Mimic, and Rough and Tumble, and it is very obvious from issue 1 that Zavok is playing Starline like a chump, and he continues to do that for the entire miniseries, all the while we are repeatedly shown how none the wiser Starline is, until eventually the formal betrayal occurs, and Starline is not happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
Here, it's only in the third issue that Starline is being played for itself because he was very, tenuously, but he was actually in control in issues 1 and 2.
Yeah.
He was bad at it, and it was
Terrible.
clear. It was clear that it was going to backfire on him. But
Mm-hmm.
this time, it hadn't already backfired on him preemptively.
Yeah. But here we are.
Here we are.
And I'm glad things turned out the way they did. I'm glad that I was wrong, cuz here's a little trivia. I went into this issue with very low expectations. And
Yeah, like we mentioned, the first 5 pages are our least favorite 5 pages.
yeah, and I'm just going to give a little background here. As someone who's been critical of Ian Flynn on the internet, I I get told a lot that I'm not giving him enough credit. I'm not like giving his stories enough of a chance. But or like I haven't like I still need to keep reading before I can even have an opinion. Um, and the thing is, that's not how expectations work. If I'm going into something and thinking it's gonna be bad, if it turns out better than I thought it would be, then it's better than if I end up having a higher opinion of it than if I expected it to be good and then it ends up just being below average. And just I I try in general to go into any comic to enjoy it, but this time I didn't go in wanting to hate it. I went in expecting to hate it because
Yeah.
I read all of Bad Guys. I read all of Zeddy Hunt. And I think the last part of Zeddy Hunt is the one comic of IDW Sonic that we both read fully and together without reading out loud and in character. I think it's still like the only one because and yeah, just it was a waste of time, Zeddy Hunt, and Bad Guys was also a waste of time. I think I can just say and like so going into this, I, this miniseries, I was ready for it to be just another waste of time. Issue 1 surprised me. I still wasn't impressed, but it surprised me. Issue 2 made me feel like, okay, it's going to be another waste of time, just kind of more of the same here. We're going to keep going over the same notes over and over. But then this issue happened, and I can honestly say I'm on board. For the first time in years, I'm on board. I think the last time I was on board with the story Ian was writing was when I was like 10 years old, reading Archie Sonic. And not as mature and able to critically analyze stories as I am now.
Mm-hmm.
This is very uncharted territory for me as an adult reader, as a mature and grown up reader of Sonic comics. And I hope he sticks the landing.
Yeah. For me, I've stated, I started reading the comic, getting caught up from the early times around issue 23-ish,
Mm-hmm.
where the comic was like flat in the middle of the Metal Virus arc, which
Yeah.
was long.
It was long and also bad.
I didn't care for it. I didn't buy into it. I never at any point during Metal Virus enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and for me, while I had read some of the Archie Comics Sonic series, I'd only read a very small amount of Ian's run, and I didn't remember it very well from when I was like 13 and I was looking at those comics. Um, so okay, when I started reading IDW, I didn't know who Ian Flynn was.
Mm-hmm.
I learned his name because of this comic, and I didn't learn it with a very positive association because
Yeah.
I didn't like what I was reading.
Yeah.
Um, I if I wasn't bored, I was outright just disgruntled at what I was looking at, and that was just my experience going through all the rest of Metal Virus, and then into Bad Guys, into Zeddy Hunt, and I've not been having a very good time with Ian's comic ever since I've been properly introduced to him as a writer.
Yeah.
And I had a really good time reading this comic, and I've thought on it. We read this yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking at this comic ever since we read it, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about it, and just I feel more positive on it the more I think about it, and
Mm-hmm.
something I often ran into with Ian's comics I didn't like is that the more I thought about them, the more problems I'd find, and
Mm-hmm.
it'd be the kind of thing where it's like the comic bugs me, so I think about it, and as I think about it, I find more things that bug me, and then it's just like, it's that thing where like the more a thing annoys you, the more you tend to nitpick it.
Yeah.
But I've just been liking this so much that I've been thinking about it, and as I've been liking it, I've been thinking more about it and just appreciating it more. And it's like I haven't had this with Ian's work
Yeah.
since Tangle and Whisper. I will
Honestly.
say the Tangle and Whisper miniseries was basically, so I enjoyed Mr. Tinker.
Mm.
In the main series, and that's basically all I did enjoy in the main series. I was not having a good time with the rest of it, but the Tangle and Whisper miniseries I thought was quite good and very well put together. And it's the kind of thing that I could think about and find more things to like about it. And
Yeah, I believe y'all were like just okay about it when y'all first read it, but when we read it together, that was when like, oh, this is
yeah,
something special.
it grew on me afterwards. And definitely we read it together. I mean, as you just stated, we read comics usually out loud, voice acting the characters in character. Trying usually to split the cast about halfway.
Yeah,
Each.
much as we can. It doesn't always work out, but you know.
Well, you stick with the character you start voicing usually, and so when the scene just becomes only your characters for a while, it can be a little exhausting on the voice. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's the kind of thing that I think has in the past really accentuated a good comic.
Mm-hmm.
A good comic will often, not always, there's many different ways to write comics, but oftentimes your typical comic, if it is already good, it will thrive when read out loud.
Yes.
A bad comic, though, all of its flaws in the dialogue, if there's any flaws in that dialogue, they will be exposed and laid bare. And because you have to like focus more on the dialogue to read it and
Mm-hmm.
like all that, you end up really noticing the problems.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, we read this comic out loud together in character, and I am just singing its praises.
Yeah.
So that should tell you what I think of its quality.
It it pays off.
Yeah. I already feel like issues 1 and 2 are more worthwhile and better, and I have a better opinion of them because I feel like issue 3 gave me a payoff for what was being promised, and I didn't think that was going to happen.
Neither did I. Yeah.
But also, I believe I think I might have mentioned in when we were talking about issue 1 and issue 2 that Starline has been a character in this comic for longer than I've been reading this comic,
Mm-hmm.
and I continued over and over to just not buy it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like him at his debut. I didn't care for him being just kind of a toady
Mm-hmm.
who wasn't even really wanted by Eggman all throughout Metal Virus.
Yeah.
The one time I ever cheered at a comic that had Starline in it, it's because Metal Sonic was throwing him into the garbage, and I could say bye to him
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah.
In Bad Guys, I was frustrated by the narrative and frustrated by the fact that it just seemed to be repeating the same note over and over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When Evan Stanley was writing the character in Salaries and Batting Bases, I liked that well enough.
Yeah.
I thought, I felt like, is this what Starline's supposed to be? Because I just never could get what I was supposed to feel about Starline, and in Zeddy Honey wasn't doing much.
Yeah.
But here in Imposter Syndrome, it felt like in issue 1 especially, with like the you can only see his eyes in the darkness and stuff, that like it felt like I was being told that I was supposed to take him seriously as a villain.
Mm-hmm. For once.
And
yeah.
as often when I'm being told something, I don't necessarily agree with it, and I didn't agree with that. I did not agree with Starline being a serious villain. But then we kept having this conversation.
Yeah.
And it always ends the same way. And it's partly because the art in those two panels is gorgeous, admittedly.
Mm-hmm.
But also, finally, I'm buying Starline as a villain.
Yeah.
And it's right before he eats it and, like, you know, doesn't manage to do it. But, like, I don't know, I think maybe I can buy into the character.
Yeah.
After all this time, after these years.
Yeah.
Like, after so many years of Starline being in the comic, after years of me reading the comic, maybe, yes, finally, I say, okay, Starline is... But in all seriousness, like, I don't know.
Starline is what?
No, just is.
Okay.
That was a joke.
Okay.
I'm humorous.
Okay.
But in seriousness, like, no matter what, this miniseries has introduced two new characters, and they are as designed to be popular as you can make.
Yeah.
Two new characters in a Sonic comic.
Yeah.
Like, everything about them feels like the main... It feels like the main thing that Mauro Fonseca and Evan Stanley were told is, like, no, but you gotta make it them, like, really good so that everyone will buy the merchandise that'll probably happen way after this miniseries happens. Because, like, wow, these are some marketable kids.
Look at these kiddos.
I can't wait for when they're partly manufactured, let's be honest. Popularity inevitably lands them for a spot in Sonic Force's Speed Battle.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, beans. So much to be excited about.
But, like, as I was saying, you know, these are brand new characters being introduced to the comic, so no matter how issue 50 goes, no matter how the big... It's a multiple of 25 issue celebration goes, the status quo of the comic is going to be changed.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is because there are new characters. You know, Starline's status quo is going to change, and I have not felt like his status quo has changed since the end of Metal Virus. I do not count the Tricore. The Tricore is a weapon, it's a power-up, it gives him, like, the ability to be involved in fight scenes, and that's it. It wasn't something that really changed the character
Mm-hmm.
because it it just means he can fight.
Yeah.
But Surge and Kit may or may not end up sticking with Starline afterwards.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that status quo settles if indeed they decide to settle
Yeah.
into a status quo.
Well, I mean, no matter what, because like if Surge and Kit break off onto their own,
Mm-hmm.
that will change the status quo because we will have this new duo running around.
Mm-hmm.
If they stick with Starline, then like and somehow like end up having some kind of an alliance with him, then Starline is finally a villain who has a status quo that is interesting rather than just being he's off nebulously doing something. And like depending on what path, I don't know what the path forward Starline is going to be. Probably when we review issue 51, we'll have a more cohesive talk about what that path forward might be.
Yeah.
But no matter what, I am intrigued, and
Me too.
I was intrigued to see where it was going. This miniseries, at least, was going at the end of issue 1. I lost all my intrigue at issue 2, and now not only have I bought into the premise and the story of the miniseries, but I'm intrigued for what goes even beyond it. And
Yeah.
even potentially, if this storyline ends well, I might even be looking forward to the next time Ian is writing on the comic.
Mm-hmm.
And I have never looked forward to that. To be clear, because again, I started in the middle of Metal Virus and didn't like it, and I didn't like the bad guys, and I didn't like Zeddy Hunt. But this, I'm liking, and if that continues to hold true...
Frankly, I don't think I did that. Because, like, as a child enjoying his writing, there wasn't anyone else to, like, stop by with. Like, okay, but now here's someone else's story. So, like, there wasn't really any opportunity, even as I was a fan of his work as a child, for me to, I can't wait for him to write again.
Yeah, because back on the Archie books...
Once he got on,
I don't think, after he started, I don't think there was a single issue of the main series that didn't have his writing on it.
on some...
There were various issues where B stories had other writers, though also a significant part of the comic, they didn't do B stories anymore. Much like how IDW, this Sonic comic series, they don't do B stories.
Yeah.
There was the side series Sonic Universe, and a few arcs, like maybe 6 or so arcs, didn't have him credited on them.
Yeah, one had Evan Stanley, I think 2 had Yardley, and Elliot Baker worked on some.
Yeah.
But yeah, just, Ian's been very ubiquitous, but yeah, like, just, we're in new uncharted territory. We are feeling good about not only this comic, but Ian's place in it, and I like enjoying things.
Yeah, and like, it's, the thing is, we've even been pointing out that we had problems in this comic.
Yeah.
There are parts of it we don't like. There are, pieces of dialogue we think don't really work. There are tonal elements that I'm confused about. There are, they're just like themes that don't feel like they're very thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I do wish Ian would work on in his writing, just being more thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he has an unfortunate tendency to punch down in his writing.
Yeah.
And again, like, it's not something unique to him, but
yeah,
it's something that especially with him seemingly just, I get the feeling that he does just want to continue writing for Sonic.
Yeah.
He is a Sonic fan. He I don't like follow him on Twitter or anything, but I do sometimes see his statements just come across, and I get the feeling that he does want to be here and that he does want to keep working on this franchise. And heck, as one may or may not know, he is credited for writing the newest upcoming game.
Yeah.
I'm I don't know if I'll tell you what, if he sticks the landing on this story, I will look forward to his writing in Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll say that.
um Even if like the trailers with story bits come out and I'm not liking it, you know what? I didn't like the preview pages here and it surprised me, so I'll give it a shot. I'll go in open arms, open mind, and see
Open
how
heart.
it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was a good time. I liked talking about this issue with y'all. And
Yeah.
I think
Really
our
good.
next Bitsley Book Club edition, if it's not Monkey Prince issues 3 and 4, it'll
Or 2 and 3.
2 and 3. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not that, it'll probably be issue 49, which is coming out next month.
Yes.
But and we might decide to do some stuff in between, just because it's fun to talk about comics here.
Yeah.
And but I think not to jinx us, but I really think next time, we're gonna do big. I think next time we're live, we're gonna be having Big the Cat do some fishing finally, and I'm looking forward to that.
I swear, we're gonna beat Sonic Adventure.
We will. We're in March now. We're making such good time, and now it's March.
Yeah, on our plan to play through a bunch of Sonic games before Frontiers comes out.
I think it's fine. We're covering the Sonic comics, and that has the writer of Sonic Frontiers very prevalent. So
Yeah. Yeah, I guess this is more relevant than it would have been on most years to review Sonic comics leading up to a Sonic game coming out.
yeah, that sure worked out.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks, I assume Izuka?
yeah,
He's generally in charge of Sonic on a broad sense.
cool
And
guy.
he's talked to Ian Flynn personally. Even been in the same room with him, as I hear. So
Yeah, we'll see how things go. But yeah, thanks for.
I just want to state, just for the record, I could probably go on. I could probably keep talking about this comic, but it's been coming up on 2 hours.
Which I think we said last time. Oh, this won't be 2 hours. Don't be ridiculous. It's only one comic. What will we have to say? A lot, apparently.
Yeah, gosh, the art for Starline is real good.
Yeah.
Good comic.
But we'll be able to talk more about Imposter Syndrome when issue 4 comes out in May. And until then, thank y'all for tuning in. Thanks for and be sure to follow if you liked what you saw. We cover comic books and new and old and video games. Hopefully on the newer side as time goes on. We're just doing Sonic Adventure on the original digital Dreamcast.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, please hit that follow button on Twitch, and if you're watching the YouTube VOD, feel free to give us a subscribing. There's a little thumbs up button that means like, and you can press that. And you can even comment, and if you do comment, don't be a dick, basically.
Yeah.
I do moderate the comments, and I would appreciate if you would treat me as a living, breathing human person,
And me
as
too, I
I
hope.
will. Yes, yeah, also you. Yes, treat us like
Yeah.
basic decency. You don't have to like me, but you know,
Yeah. Let's
be
all
kind. Rewind.
let's all get along.
Yeah,
We're talking about Sonic comics here. Let's all get along.
yeah.
What would Sonic say? What would Jesus do?
Hmm.
Oh Christ. Well,
That's the one.
bye everyone. Is that a good time to stop?
I don't know. We just keep talking it for some reason. I'm sorry. This is my fault.
No, it's not.
I
No,
like this comic.
it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I like I,
Bye.
I like
Whoop.
this comic.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye.